I am Karen Smith Frazier, and during the podcast, please let me know if you have any takeaways, if you find value in what I'm talking about. If you have some other ideas you want me to talk about, just let me know. And thanks for being here for episode 60. What exactly does put your whole heart into it really mean? Now, for those who have already heard my story, please bear with me as I share a piece of it for any new viewers. It's funny how unexpected things that happen to us can be such a wake-up call. We can awaken to what's going great in our lives and wonder, what have I been complaining about all this time? And then there's circumstances where we can say, why am I settling for this? So notice I didn't say, I hate my situation, but I'm scared to make a change. And for some, that may have been the case. Sometimes I think it's harder to make a change when things are actually going well. I mean, they're not too bad. The why rock the boat feeling can come up. And you may wonder if you're thinking straight, like, why should I rock the boat? Why should I mess up what's working already? So for me, it was the why are you settling when you know you're called to do more? That feeling that pointed me in a new direction. And my school nurse, as a school nurse, I worked with fun students, interesting students, and staff and families. And, schools can definitely feel like a second family. And so the idea of leaving my family, that was part of the challenge also. I mean, we go through the ups and downs together, we celebrate together, we mourn together. So when there are tragedies, we all feel it like family. And so with all these things in mind, I had to think about what would it mean if I made a change? And I had to decide. I had to make a choice. I couldn't just let life happen anymore. And what happened was that I was feeling this nudge to move on, to find other ways to serve. And I kept ignoring it. And I kept being pulled back into the familiar. And it was only after I got in an accident, a car accident, that I decided, that I made a choice, that I was going to choose for Karen to do what I was called to do. And that was to serve in a different way. That was as a life coach. In reality, I think I've been life coaching informally for years, but as a life coach, as a certified life coach, I get to walk alongside men and women who are ready for change. It's exciting to see the growth, theirs and mine. I specifically guide women during midlife to identify their dreams, align their actions, and make confident choices so they can create a life that truly reflects their authentic selves, reflects who they truly are, not just the caregiver, not just the wife, not just the teacher, not just the nurse, but who are they? So today's topic is leaning on my health background. Some things I have not been able to unlearn, and in this case, I wanted to use this platform to share some insights about the heart, as February not only begins Black History Month, but, not begins Black History Month, but we remember and reflect on Black history in America during February, but it also is Heart Health Month. So I'm going to begin with a few statistics, so hang in there with me. My notes here. Heart disease is the leading cause of death in the United States, accounting for roughly 1 in 5, or over 680,000 deaths annually. That's for men and women. So, heart disease, not breast cancer, is the leading cause of death in women. And in Black women in the United States, nearly 60% of women aged 20 and older are living with cardiovascular disease. Let me say that again. Aged 20 and older are living with cardiovascular disease. Women's hearts differ from men's in several important and often overlooked ways. Women often develop heart disease later in life, but as you can see from the statistic, not necessarily, especially after menopause. Certain conditions like coronary microvascular disease and broken heart syndrome, there is actually a syndrome called broken heart syndrome related to stress, are more common in women. Women are also more likely to have symptoms that don't match the classic chest pain, making awareness and early detection especially important. Common heart attack symptoms in women? Well, chest pain or discomfort is still the most common symptom for both men and women, but women may experience signs that feel less obvious, and oftentimes they mimic other symptoms. For example, shortness of breath, pain in the upper back, shoulders or neck. I know I feel that when I'm stressed out or when I've been sitting at the computer too long. Indigestion or heartburn, nausea or vomiting, unusual fatigue, cold sweats and lightheadedness. Pregnancy-related complications such as preeclampsia or gestational diabetes, menopause and hormonal changes, autoimmune diseases such as lupus or rheumatoid arthritis, chronic stress, anxiety or depression, socioeconomic and racial disparities that can affect access to care. Women with multiple risks, especially if they're not well managed, face a much higher risk of heart disease, heart attack, and stroke. You may be thinking, okay, Karen, this is getting kind of deep. Actually, let me see if I can see what you're thinking. Let's see. Here. All right, welcome. Though most emphasis is placed on the physical aspects of heart health, today I want to highlight 4 dimensions of heart health that, when aligned, are, of course, good for your heart, but also just leave you feeling better, leave you feeling more prepared to face the world. To better maintain healthy productivity, it's important to care for our hearts across 4 key interconnected dimensions of heart health. By interconnected, I mean that each dimension, each part impacts the other. Lean on the others. So when one area needs attention, another area may overcompensate or attempt to. The 4 areas are physical, emotional, nutritional, and spiritual. Addressing these areas can build resilience, reduce burnout, and improve focus. And here are some specific ways to care for these 4 areas. 1, physical. Sleep. Sleep. That's the number 1 on the list. Prioritize 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep to rebuild and recover. Now, I can hear y'all laughing now. I ain't never get no 7 to 9 hours of sleep. I function on 4. I function on 5. Well, I challenge you to try to go to bed earlier and see what happens. I mean, the first few nights will be rough because your body is used to 4 or 5 hours. But imagine Actually get in an extra hour of sleep regularly and see what that would do for your physical health, for your heart health. Movement is the next one. Engage in regular physical activity to increase energy and cognitive function, brain function. Move around. Sometimes when I am getting tired, worn out a little bit, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn on some music. I'm going to move around, maybe get on the treadmill for a little bit, but move my body. And for me, music makes the movement a little bit easier and just more fun. And rest. Incorporate resting breaks during the day. It's not all about sleeping at night, but sometimes you need to chill and rest during the day. Number 2, emotional. Self-awareness. Acknowledge and accept feelings instead of denying them. Now, many caregivers may have begun the habit of swallowing your emotions. And it's not just for caregivers, I guess. But sometimes there's certain things that happen and we either feel guilty about the emotion or just don't feel comfortable with that emotion, but accept it, acknowledge it, identify it. Denying them does not help. In fact, it causes a little bit of stress. So the next one is stress management. Develop healthy coping mechanisms such as mindfulness or counseling. And yes, it includes that deep breath, that corny deep breath that everybody tells you to do when you're stressed out. And I am telling you, it works. But I would encourage you to practice it when you are not stressed. Practice the deep breathing when you are not stressed, so you know what it feels like in your body. And then you'll be able to use it when you really need it to relieve stress. The next one is perspective. Remember, there is always more than one side to the story. Don't always jump into the most negative conclusion. Cultivate an optimistic approach and manage emotional reactions to your challenges. Ask yourself if getting emotionally engaged with this conversation or that news feed or that comment really is worth your emotional energy. If the answer is no, move on. Let it go. So we've covered physical and emotional parts of the heart care, heart health. Number 3 is nutritional. Of course, balanced fuel. Consume nutritious food to sustain energy levels. Some may choose special diets, but all include unprocessed foods, fresh fruits and vegetables, healthy proteins, just a balanced diet. And even frozen fruits, frozen vegetables have less sodium than the canned ones, so these are just some things that you can do. Read the label. And some of my other coach colleagues, Coach Dawn with Stay Sexy Wellness and Coach Tennille, the Lupus Warrior, they often have tips about nutrition. So you can often, you can check out their podcasts. Hydration, that's another big one. Maintain adequate water intake to support brain health, cognitive function, and physical health, heart health. I notice that when folks get older, they tend to drink less at times, and it may have to do with having to run to the bathroom all the time. Some folks don't make it, and so they don't drink. So just be mindful, set a goal, drink water, get your fluids in, and it not only helps your heart, it helps your skin, and just flushes out waste and toxins in your body. And the final one, mindful eating. Be aware of what you're putting in your mouth. Be aware of your food choices because they affect your energy and your mood. Notice if there's a pattern when you eat certain foods like extra sweets or whatever. How do you feel afterwards? Do you feel tired? Do you feel energized? These are all some things. And when you're eating, try not to do like a gazillion other tasks that may distract you with how much you're eating. All right. Finally, spiritual. Purpose and meaning. Think about purpose and meaning. Connect with your core values. Purpose and what gives your life meaning. What makes you tick? What are the most important things in your life that, like, they're non-negotiable? Those things that you don't want to compromise. Think about those things. Reflection. Practice meditation or prayer or quiet time to maintain inner peace. When everything else is chaotic in the world, we can't rely on the world. There's something inside of us and beyond us that can give us peace, that will allow us to take the next step forward. So that reflection is important. And contribution. Engage in activities that serve a purpose greater than yourself. Serve others. It's kind of interesting how when we help somebody else, doesn't it make your heart feel full? That's part of the heart health, is when we are generous. Generosity somehow in the universe returns back to us. So integrating these pillars, physical, emotional, nutritional, spiritual into your heart health routine creates a foundation for sustained energy and productivity. All right. And this is what I mean by putting your whole heart into something. Somehow, the spiritual and emotional parts of the heart health conversation, take a back seat to the physical and nutritional pieces. But how often is our diet and activity affected by how we're feeling and our emotions, and increased stress related to a disconnection between what we say we believe in or important and how we are living our lives. So this week, I encourage you to write out these 4 areas and notice which ones need a little more attention. It may surprise you how one may be, it may surprise you when you write it out. And then you can work on bringing those things into balance that'll open more doors to loving yourself and others. I mean, we are talking about the heart here, and it is February. Well, let me just check to see if there are any comments. Not sure what's happening to my feed today. I'm hoping you can hear me. And if not, I will just have to do this podcast one more time. In the meanwhile, that's it for today. I'm wishing you a great day, sending positive energy as you begin this new week and this new month. And as always, unleash your brilliance, uncover your light. The world and lots of hearts are waiting for you. Take care.